in the heart of Sydney's CBD is a little touch of Spain. Balcón by Tapavino is a classic Spanish restaurant serving authentic tapas and Spanish dishes, complemented by an extensive range of Spanish wines, sherries and beverages. Lee Hayward is the sommelier at Balcón and has had over 20 years of experience running restaurants and bars in the UK and Australia, including Chophouse and Bentley Restaurant and Bar. Lee, welcome to G&M.
Thank you.
What's your favourite drink after a day at work?
After a day at work, it would depend how long that day's been. If it's one of those unicorn days that finishes late afternoon, probably just a beer, to be honest. Nice and refreshing. If it's one of those kind of 12 to 14 hour shifts that ends at 11 o'clock at night, then a good glass of kind of textural white wine generally does the job.
Okay. So one of those typical long hours in the hospitality industry.
Goes with the territory.
For which you've had a lot of experience. So what's your general philosophy on food and drink?
I think it's respect the rules and traditions, but at the same time don't be completely bound by them at the same time. It's more a case for me of drink and eat what you feel like drinking and eating, and the combinations that you feel like drinking and eating. Yep. The rules and the kind of the matching kind of guidelines are there for a very good reason. But at the end of the day, if you want to drink red wine with fish, drink red wine with fish. If you want to drink red wine on its own, drink red wine on its own. So on and so forth. Do what you feel like doing. Yep.
Balcón is a Spanish restaurant. What's exciting about Spanish wines?
Spanish wines, for me, what's exciting? That's a very big question because there is so much that is very, very exciting about Spanish wine. Spain essentially went through a very insular period in the 20th century due to the rule of Franco. Agriculture in general was very much focused on mass bulk production as cheap as possible for the domestic population. Pretty much 2 generations of winemakers lost their access to the international market because of this. We had a lot of very high cropping, unsuitable varieties planted across the country. And it just really kind of lost its way, viticulture within Spain. Now, that of course changed in the late 70s and the 80s with the demise of Franco's rule and the ascension to the EU, and a lot of forward-thinking winemakers started to return to the indigenous varieties of their fathers and their grandfathers, and began to rediscover the rich diversity of indigenous grape varieties that Spain has to offer. Yeah. And there really is an extremely dynamic variety of styles available from Spain.
Okay. Spain obviously well known for its sherries. Tell us a little bit about sherry.
Sherry, much maligned, I think, over the past couple of decades. The industry's seen a big contraction of taste have changed. I think it's important to realise, for me as a sommelier and for my peers, that sherry is a really acquired taste, certainly with today's general tastes. It's also a wine a wine that goes very, very well with food. And that's a big challenge here in Australia because it's not something that we generally do together very, very well. Sherry works best when it's drunk with the appropriate foodstuffs for that style. It can be a fabulously exciting drink. I think it takes a little bit of kind of education into the category to truly appreciate it. That said, there's some fantastic innovation happening within the sherry triangle at the moment. There's producers bringing back non-fortified table wines, whether they be from Palomino or Underfloor or not. And we're seeing a lot of re-emergence of the great red wines that come from sherry country, and also more of a focus on single vineyard sherries and more of a focus on the specificities of the sites that the fruit for sherry comes from, rather than just these umbrella styles. Traditionally, sherry was a fortified wine in order to lengthen the shelf life of the wines. Is that correct? Depends on the category. So with the oxidatively aged styles, fortification to the level that the oxidative styles are fortified to, around 17 to 18%, is used as a protection against the bad things we see from oxidation.
Right.
Sherries are matured wines. They're matured generally, broadly speaking, in a fractional blending system called a Solera. So it's important to protect the wines from all of the bad things that we see in oxidation, and just get all the good things that we want from oxidation for those styles.
Another famous thing about Spain, of course, is tapas. And can you tell us a little bit more about tapas? I mean, they're obviously not just small entrees. I think originally tapas actually meant cover or something.
Yes, I mean there's probably a few score theories in the origination of tapas. Most of them urban myths. There's King Alfonso in the 12th century who fell ill and could only take small pieces of food and drink at the time, so that a cuisine was born from that. There's various other different theories. I think culturally, what tapas has evolved from is Spaniards don't have dinner until anywhere between kind of 9 and midnight. They also culturally will bar hop quite a lot, go from one place to another. So it's about accompanying drink with a small bite of food wherever you're going, not to spoil the appetite for dinner later, but something to accompany food. So obviously, if you're having 5 or 6 drinks before dinner, it doesn't impact you.
So it's a very social,
Exactly.
And Europeans probably a little bit better at the hospitality
Certainly,
and social
absolutely.
than maybe we are at times. So that
That's
sharing of food is quite good.
Yeah, exactly.
And at Balcón you have a range of traditional tapas as well as other sharing foods?
We do, yes. It ranges from picar, small kind of what we would call bar food, to a tapas section of our menu, to kind of larger, what we would kind of term as kind of main dishes and entrees. We're very much focused on the north of Spain, so Catalonia, through the Ebro Valley to Basque Country, across Asturias and Cantabria and Galicia. So that's very much our focus. And also, I think it's really important to realise that there's really no such thing as Spanish food. Spain's such a massive melting point of regional and cultural diversity that you can't really say that there are dishes that come from a country. They're very specific to different parts of Spain.
Excellent. Well, thank you, and I urge everyone to come to Balcón and have a tapas and a sherry. Absolutely. And be social.
We're here and waiting.
Thank you, Lee.